good day, everyone. It's really I will say a really amazing set of speakers we've got and presentations so far. And looking at the major strides that have been achieved in the world of e-learning really, gives me assurance that there's still hope for especially, those in underserved region contexts. So my presentation today would be about exploring how mobile learning technology can be used to improve digital and educational inclusion for learners with cognitive disabilities. And for this presentation, I'm taking Nigeria as a case study, where of course there is some structural limitations, affordability challenges, and cultural factors that influence providing learning for learners with cognitive disabilities. So I'll just get going. So in the Nigerian context, there's the major issue there would be about the affordability of these cognitive disability screening tools. They're quite I'll say irritable because as it is, it's really difficult for parents to even agree to accept the fact that their child needs an intervention, and then the inaffordability for those willing to come forth, it's quite discouraging. And then for educating these learners, going to a typical Nigeria special education school, what you find the support there is mostly for learners with, physical impairments. They're hardly, teachers trained to handle the cognitive side of special education. And and with the lack of government policies, very weak government policies that considers the cognitive aspect of things, their education is mostly the is vested on, non-governmental organizations who are, taking it from, trying to establish these learning centers for the cognitive disability side to at least have focus for them. So and to add upon it, there's a cultural stigma, a lot of it still existing, still prevalent on cognitive disabilities. So most of them are out of school as it is. Most of them are out of school, and those that are fortunate to even attend schools of any kind, they mostly don't get the opportunity to go beyond primary schools. They mostly stop at secondary school level. So there's also the issue of poor digital infrastructure. But with the proliferation of mobile devices, I'll say mobile learning can be a bridge to fill in these gaps in accessibility, flexibility, and personalization. So, going out to Nigeria, we conducted a focus group engaging 25 professionals who were a combination of teachers, psychologists, and special educational needs specialists. And then we conducted thematic analysis on the focus group findings. So the major themes that arose from the thematic analysis, like the challenges the teachers mainly faced was about providing how best to evaluate the learner's interaction with content, and then to ascertain their motivation. And then that was the most pressing challenge for them. And then they had issues of having a class of 20 to 25 pupils. How are you able to use the same learning content and adapt it to different learning styles or different different abilities within a class? And then having to know if that content is actually relevant for that person's age, ability, and for their ability. And then they had issue of also understanding, what the preferred way of learning for a learner is. And then, of course, evaluating, special needs and severity. That's to do with the screening tools. And then there's also a lack of training and support for them. So going through the challenges, providing education for them in overcrowded classrooms, the teachers are not able to track, individual motivation. So it's important for digital tools that are going to be developed to, at least have simple motivational prompts, emotion cards, and cultural contents that are relatable for this kind of learners and their local context. And then another thing that would also keep learning on the go would be the availability of offline motivation tracking features to keep checking in for them. So the next problem was identifying the preferred learning style. Still with the large classroom, they have about 20 to 30 typically in a class. And it's not that they have like year groups. No, it's just most of the pupils there were from between the age range of 5 to 12 years old, but they were all, packed in the same class because there isn't, enough infrastructure to support them having different class groups. So with that large class, it's difficult to, start to identify what preferred learning style of individual learners are. And especially where, in the Nigerian context where cultural norms are, discouraging for pupils to communicate their needs and express themselves. So there's also the limited tools to identify, okay, if a learner is either visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, like where their strengths lies in learning. Therefore, it's as a recommendation, they give some suggestions where they think disability specific support could be given in any digital intervention that's to be provided. Like through administering the learning style quizzes, you develop gamified learning quizzes to see how best the learner performs while it's tracking them. So the other aspect of creating adaptive and relevant learning content to support them effectively, it's important to reflect, the local cultural context, especially in rural and underserved regions. It's important, to be able to break that barrier of stigma. It's really good to, have learning content to, model the actual behavior or the cultural sensitivities in that locality. And in Nigeria, it's quite there's quite a dynamic I'll say it's really dynamic because different parts of Nigeria have different cultures. So it's important to have that in consideration when developing these kind of things. And then with the poor infrastructure, lack of technological infrastructure availability, like the cost of internet access particularly, it's really, really crucial to have offline availability for this kind of interventions. Then thirdly, because these teachers are mostly not trained for cognitive disabilities, even the ones that are trained for the special education, it's really important to have let's say CPD resources or like training and support for them on cognitive disability support resources. And for the part of parents, it's also important to have a kind of support system for them to help them cope with, the cultural nuances that they face every day, and also to provide like a way of improving or boosting awareness for this kind of disabilities and how to best live or cope with them. So the other aspect, the final thing that emerged was on evaluating the special needs and severity, which has to do with the expense, what it takes to actually get your child diagnosed, or after the diagnosis, like how to tailor support for them. It's really having access to therapies and this thing is very, very expensive. So it's even, I'll say, a no-go area for many of these parents. They rather just, keep hiding the child at home and deny them any access to education whatsoever. So it's important to have comprehensive functional assessment tools that are actually affordable, and using that, we could have like, even if it means adaptation of, comprehensive disability screening tools, simplified and integrated in this digital environments. And then there should also be the integration of, functional ability tracking to understand if maybe a child is not capable to, maybe to thrive with core academic learning content. Probably the disability is on a maybe severe spectrum of disability and might only need just maybe basic survival skills content. So it's important to have that, functional ability tracking. And then teachers should be able to, okay, at least have an insight of how severe that learner's disability has affected them, or if there's any comorbidity in terms of the disabilities. So, actually translate this requirements to, key to quality technical requirements. We applied the information system success model of Dolon and McLean to translate these requirements into, certain quality attributes that must be considered by designers and developers when developing mobile learning interventions for these learners. So we have the 6 attributes of system quality, information quality, service quality, use, and user satisfaction. And then here are the requirements that align to these quality attributes of these success dimensions. So we have the to ensure as accessibility, adaptability, and portability. There's need for disability support resources, offline access, and flexible content. And to ensure availability, usability, and ease of use, there is the need for motivation support, awareness campaigns, and then the availability of discussion forums for this for both learners, teachers, and parents. And then there's also engage to improve engagement and motivation, having multimodal content available with flexible pacing according to these learners, and gamifying lots of learning content could boost engagement and their interaction, their level of interaction with this learning. So going through the key barriers in Nigeria context is poor internet and electricity supply. And then there's the pupil to teacher ratio, which is, I'll say, really high. And surrounding that is a lot of cultural stigma. Most of these parents, it's quite challenging for their children to even come out to play with their peers, not even in the school setting. Or those that are fortunate to be in the school setting, the schools are not inclusive because, they're kind of segregated. So that also alienates them the more. And then there's the high cost of assessment tools and limited government support for inclusive education. So what we try to focus on in designing the intervention we are working on, that's the mobile learning application, is the offline availability, and then ensuring that the contents are as culturally relatable and relevant as possible. And then rather than have like a year group kind of categorization of learning, it's like it's ability-based content that will be provided rather. Since many of these abilities operate on a spectrum, so every child at a different point needs a different kind of content. And there must be support for simple screening tools for these disabilities. And that would, I think, would go a long way in reducing the teacher workload. And then additionally, the disability support resources for both teachers and parents are also to be put in place. So I think I've gone through that. I think as a point for recommendation is developing localized low data intensive content, minimal use of visuals to at least reduce the weight of the application when it's loading. And then to integrate these screening tools and then provide teacher training modules and caregiver guides. And then using, let's say, leveraging social media to encourage community awareness and address the cultural sensitivity. So for that, for now, there's a prototype mobile learning application that's been developed, which would be pushed out for evaluation very soon. to the local users of this app. It's designed specifically for the Nigerian context and for learners with cognitive disabilities. And the key features are, the ability-based adaptive content. There is also reading and dictation support. Then disability-specific learning modules focus on autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and Down syndrome. And then like simple digital screening checklists. And there's also the gamified approach to learning that's been integrated. So on the next slide, I'll just try to open up just a short video. Bear with me a moment. Okay, I think it's not my screen. I'll have to stop sharing this and then share because I'm not sharing my screen. I'm just sharing the window. I'm not sharing the window, but my screen, sorry. I don't know, is it up?
Welcome to Autokepo, a mobile learning companion designed to support children of all abilities anytime, anywhere. Our built-in text-to-speech supports learners who benefit from structured, accessible reading. Children can practice spelling with multisensory flashcards that encourage repetition, listening, and visual learning. For math, interactive visual activities help maintain attention and reduce cognitive overload. Short, colorful tasks keep learners engaged while strengthening foundational skills. For children who learn best through movement, the app includes simple guided activities that encourage physical participation, ideal for moments when focus needs a boost. Our sensory models offer low simulation visual exercises and interactive skill building games designed to support communication, routine learning, and self-guided exploration. In Educable, parents and educators can access optional learnings to better understand a child's learning profile. These tools help guide instructional decisions, never to diagnose, but always to support. With real-time reporting, caregivers and teachers can track progress across reading, math, sensory play, and movement activities. Insights are presented clearly, making it easy to celebrate achievement and identify areas for growth. And because learning shouldn't depend on internet access, many activities, lessons, and reports are available offline, perfect for travel, classroom, or homes with limited connectivity. Educable creates a safe, engaging space for every child to learn, grow, and shine. Try it today and empower your child's unique learning journey.
Okay. So I'll just go back to my slides again and just conclude finally. So, in conclusion, I'll say, if given the opportunity, these learners can benefit greatly from mobile learning, and because mobile devices are, I'll say, everywhere, and it's really important to address, you can't just copy and paste, existing interventions from elsewhere without paying consideration to the local context you're trying to develop for. And then I'll say mobile learning can, empower learners, teachers, caregivers, and communities all together if harnessed. Thank you.